Hey guys, I'm Shoaib, and why do I still use the 2021 M1 MacBook Pro? Well, it's pretty simple. It has impressive performance. So this is the M1 MacBook Pro, 16 gigabytes of RAM, 512 SSD for storage, and I primarily use this guy for video editing, and that is specifically Final Cut Pro. And so that's why I want a MacBook, and I also wanted the latest when it first came out, the M1 chip, mainly because of video editing. And in my experience, this has been great. It is super fast, especially when I'm rendering videos, and it's not just like any video files. This is 4K video files, and the longest video I've ever made is like around 20 to 25 minutes. So here's a demo of a 20-minute 4K video. I finished editing and I'm going to render it, and in my test it took around 18 minutes to actually render the whole thing, which isn't bad, especially coming from the 2010 MacBook Pro. When I initially got this guy, my last computer was the 2010 MacBook Pro, and that was slow. So doing a 20-minute 4K video on that would take the whole day, if not more, because even with like 5-minute videos, it would take like forever. It would definitely take a couple of hours. It would take like 2 to 3 hours at most. And so upgrading to the M1 MacBook Pro has been great for me because it just does it so much faster. And for less intensive tasks like scripting, web browsing, listening to music, Photoshop, and various other applications on the computer, those are really easy. Those come really easy to handle, and I don't really need to think about anything when doing those. But I will mention though, with the video editing, that's where you really see the performance. And obviously it's not the fastest or the greatest for modern day, but it still does the job, and I've been using this for the past 3 years for that particular purpose, and it has served me well. Like if you have seen my other videos, those are all done on Final Cut Pro on this computer. So one thing I want to note, like MacBooks in general are not for gaming, so unless you're playing like Minecraft or something that doesn't take as much graphics or is not as much graphic intensive or performance intensive, then you'll be fine with that. But we also know that MacBooks in general don't have much games that Windows do. So in my experience with at least Minecraft, you can consistently run it at 60 frames per second with slight dips to 50 frames per second, which is not bad at all. That's like really good for Minecraft, and all that works smooth. As long as you have like a light game, then it'll be fine. So it's definitely not for games, and I personally don't use it for games at all. But if you're looking for something like that, then you know this is not what you want. Moreover, moving on to the software aspects, like the M1 MacBook has all the software I need. Like unless you need some old legacy software or something like that, then that's not going to be on this. You're probably better off with like a Windows computer or something. But for the modern day software like VLC, OBS, Adobe, Microsoft Office, Final Cut Pro, QuickTime, and all the Apple softwares, they're all on this. And for the most part, that's what I primarily use. Like I use Final Cut Pro, I use QuickTimes for screen recordings and stuff like that. So it has all its native applications and many of the latest applications as well, and it's still getting updates. So you are good in terms of software. You are still getting the latest and greatest. As of right now, you guys probably have seen all the videos on the M4 chip, which is the latest chip on their MacBooks and Mac Minis and just the Mac lineup in general for Apple. And I want to say like the latest M4 chip is the best, but the M1 is still a great deal. But in terms of the GPU and CPU, so starting with the CPU, the M4 offers a substantial performance boost, especially in single core tasks. It's reported to be around like 65% faster than the M1 Pro in single core benches. And for GPU, the M4 models, or at least the M4 Pro models, have a more powerful GPUs, delivering like way impressive gains in graphic intensive workloads. So overall, the M4 series offers a significant performance leap over the M1, which makes it ideal for video editing, 3D rendering, and gaming. And it is also a lot more power efficient than the M1, leading to a way better battery life. You are looking at 24-hour battery life on that. And lastly, the thermal performance on it are also better. Apple has redefined the thermal design in the M4 models, allowing them to sustain higher performance level for longer periods. So overall, the M4 chip is a beast, but this is where the M1 chip really shines, and that is the price. You are getting a great value for the M1 chip. The M4 models are generally more expensive than the M1 models, but the performance and efficiency gains really well justify that premium pay that many users want. So you may justify it in that sense, but you can get a refurbished 14-inch M1 MacBook Pro for as low as $650 to $1,000. And that's going to depend on like the condition. So if you're getting a new, excellent, or very good conditions options, you know, the prices are going to vary. But I can assure you that most of the listings on eBay and Amazon will be around $1,000, which is honestly like a great deal for the buck, especially for the M1 chip, considering it has the latest and greatest software, hardware. So whereas the latest base model M4 MacBook Pro will cost you like $1,500, you can get the M1 chip for like $1,000. So you're saving like $500 there if you want to get it brand new. But for the M4 chip, I will say you are paying for that additional performance boost that comes with M4 chip, which may be like totally worth it for you. So that's my quick comparison for the M1 versus the M4. But where we get the real value is the M1 and its price. You are getting still a great computer with a great price that just works. All right, so when I initially got the M1 MacBook Pro, it had amazing battery life. And it's still true today. Like after even 3 years, the battery still performs very well. For my use case, it covers the duration I need it for the most part. And personally, I don't use it as much, but primarily when I'm editing for a longer period of times, like a couple of hours here and there, it will handle that all very well. Like if I go to a cafe and they don't have a charging port available, my computer should be good as long as I've charged it beforehand. So I don't have any major problems with the battery, but on average on the laptop after 3 years it has degraded. Like battery capacity has degraded a little bit, so I'm at 95% capacity and I've had around like 205 battery cycles. So right now I'm looking at around like 8 to 10 hours on single charge, which is basically all day battery life for me because I don't use it all day like that. Like I'm not going to use it for 12 hours long. At most I'm probably going to use it for like 5 to 6 hours, and that's if I'm like intensively editing something for a long period of time, something like that. So overall the battery life has been good, and as we all know, they will degrade over time, and that's just how batteries work. As you charge them more, they will degrade the capacity, and we have also noticed this on iPhones, but it's only at 95% now. It only went down by 5%, so I should still be good for another like 3 to 5 years on this guy. So I'm still good with this. So I'm still satisfied with the battery. I don't have any problems with the battery after 3 years. And another reason why I still have the M1 MacBook Pro is because of the design. It has top of the line build quality and design. Like you have the unibody aluminum, premium feel, and robust durability. The material choice contributes to its lightweight yet sturdy construction. The device's smooth edges and clean lines farther enhance its modern aesthetics. Like this thing still looks modern, and it's very similar to the latest M4 MacBook Pros. Like if you were just at a cafe using this guy, no one would know if you have the M1 or M4. So I still have it because it's the design line and aspects are still the same. But I do want to mention though that the new M4 models have an option to add nano texture display with an additional 150, and that is actually quite nice. So if you're ever using your laptop outside and it's like a sunny day, the current M1 MacBook will give you a lot of reflection. It may be hard to see what's on your screen. Like if you're watching something or you're reading something, it may be hard to see everything because you do get a lot of reflection with the M1 MacBook Pro right now. But it does still get bright. Like the brightness, it ranges from 1000 nits to 1600 nits for HDR. But even with all that, in the sun, it's not as good. Like the display is not as good in terms of preventing reflection. Like you are going to get a lot of reflection with the M1. So the new M4 does have the nano texture display, which is really nice, but I just don't like the fact that it's an additional pay. So that would be like one reason I would consider the M4, like personally, if I were to upgrade, but I don't think I necessarily need it for the most part. I use it indoors in cafes or at my desk at home and stuff like that, and that's not been an issue for me. But that is one thing to note, that it just has a regular display. Another thing I want to mention, like when I first got this laptop, I was upgrading from the 2010 MacBook Pro, and I had waited all that time to like finally upgrade to the latest MacBook Pro because the current MacBook MacBooks at the time did not have all the ports that I wanted. Like they had removed all the ports at one point and it was just USB Type-C, and a bunch of people were complaining. And then they also had like that touch bar, which I never really found useful in my cases. So I never upgraded it. So I waited until they finally brought all the ports back. So this has HDMI, SD card reader, and even MagSafe for charging, which has always been like my favorite. But it's funny though, like I do really like MagSafe, but I actually don't really use it on my day-to-day because I'm just used to carrying a single USB Type-C cable, which can charge all my devices now. And that is nice, but I still do like MagSafe charging. Like it's nice. Like I really like the magnetic connection. Like I can do this all day. But overall, the M1 MacBook Pro looks just like the modern MacBooks. So I don't see a reason to upgrade in terms of the design and aesthetics. Alright, so moving on to like my main issues that I've faced over the 3 years. Obviously, you know, over time you do see wear and tear, and it's not going to be perfect as brand new when you first got it. So after 3 years, it has shown signs of use, and I don't know how, but I got a scratch on the logo, and I noticed it just like one day, and I'm like, dang it, like how did I get this? So it does bother me when I end up looking at the logo, but for the most part, I'm not looking at it when I'm using it. It's just like when it's closed, I'll notice it. But other than that, I'm kind of got over it now, so that's fine. So if you are like me, maybe get a case so you don't get a scratch. But I didn't get a case because I also don't like cases on MacBooks. I think they just collect dust. But anyway, so I did end up getting a scratch on the logo, so be careful with that. Don't put any sharp object or anything around the logo. It will get scratched. Another issue that I've had is the trackpad. So the trackpad, I used to really love the trackpad and I would do everything with the trackpad. I mean, it still does everything like 99% of the time, but I've started to notice that it doesn't work as it used to. Like I'll start using it to select like multiple files or paragraphs of an article, and in the middle of the selection it will just stop. Like it will stop selecting, like it loses traction, and then I have to go back to the bottom and start selecting the items again. And sometimes I was thinking, like, I don't know, like is it me? Like are my hands not warm enough for the trackpad to detect that? Or I'm not sure how it works, but sometimes it will just stop. But I recently cleaned the trackpad and stuff, and it seems to be fine again. It's working well again, but there are moments when it will just stop in the middle of like, you know, using it, and I found that odd and I don't necessarily know why. Moving on, there's this other problem that I had it even when I first got this, and it's still true till today, and that is the fact that the M1 MacBook Pro does not support 2 external monitors natively. So you do need to get like a docking station with additional software, and I have been using a docking station and I've made a full review on it. I mean, it works, but it has problems. Like sometimes the display will turn off, or like when I'm starting out, like one display won't show up, only one of them will show up, and stuff like that. So eventually I just like stopped using the dual monitors because it would just bother me from time to time, and it didn't necessarily make me more productive. In fact, I would kind of get distracted at times with multiple displays. But I do wish they had a native support for 2 external monitors, because that is nice. It's like a much more flexible setup for me, because I do get a lot more screen real estate, and especially when I'm editing videos, it would be nice to have like separate screen for having different things. Like on one screen I can have all the video files, and another screen I can have Final Cut Pro when I'm editing and stuff like that. So that's one thing that is annoying, that it doesn't natively support 2 or dual monitor setup. I wish it did. I know the latest MacBooks do actually. So the M4 will support native dual monitor setup and stuff like that, but the M1 does not. I don't like that aspect because I wish it did, and it would have been nice. Moving on, so another reason why I still have the M1 MacBook Pro, and I've kind of mentioned it earlier in other parts, like the design is still the same, you have all the ports, you have all the software, and you're still getting latest software. So the latest Apple Intelligence will also be available on the M1 MacBook Pros, and so it is future-proof. Like you're gonna get the latest and greatest software that's out there that many modern MacBooks are using, so it's not a problem in that case. So all you need to get is macOS 15 Sequoia, and it should happen. It also supports the latest Final Cut Pro, which is what I use. Final Cut Pro 11 will be supported on this, and many other modern software. So it is still good. The hardware is very modern, like I've mentioned. So it doesn't matter if you have the M1 or M4, you're still getting the great quality build, great modern aesthetic for hardware and design line. So it's definitely future proof. Like I can run this guy for the next 3 to 6 years, maybe even more, as long as they still give me updates in terms of software and features or security updates and things like that. So all in all, the 2021 M1 MacBook Pro 14-inch is still totally worth it in 2024. And in fact, I would highly recommend it right now than any other time since it's such a great value for the buck. Like, you're getting modern performance with optimized modern hardware and software. And I think that's where Apple really does a great job, optimizing their software with their hardware so they get the most out of these chips that, you know, they have made, the M1 chip, the M4 chip. And that's what's nice. So like the M1 chip works really well with Apple's ecosystem and their software because it's all optimized for it. So it's great for video editing, which is what I primarily use it for, and it's exceptionally great for like day-to-day web browsing, watching videos, movies, anything like that. It can easily handle that. So if you're looking for like generally a good computer that's also not going to break your bank, like this is a great deal right now. I do want to mention though, the M4 MacBook Pro is faster. It's crazy fast, and it will save you time when it comes to rendering 3D models, 4K videos, images, but it's definitely not as much of a difference as it seems, and it's also really depends on your use cases. You want to get the M4 if that is what you're going to do. You're going to do a lot of 3D modeling, 4K videos, and stuff like that. Like, you're a professional in those fields and you need those speeds that's going to save you time, then go for it. And also, like, if you absolutely must have the latest M4 chip and you have the budget for it, like the latest ones are expensive. So if you have the budget for it, then of course go for it. But if not, the M1 MacBook Pro is still a great deal in 2024, and like I would highly recommend it. Well, that is it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell icon. As always, have a superb day, and thanks for watching.